Cecilia Casorati, the director, has just said, I think is very much well expressed also in the title of this publication they are going to present, because it's approximating borders. So it's something that is not defined and is in course. And I would give the floor to Ádám Albert. Thank you so much to be here.
So it will be a friendly and informal presentation of our activities. It connected with the really EU4Art Differences project. It is connected EU4Art big mother project. It finished in this year, April, and this project focused on the third circle and artistic research and innovation fields of in an academic or educational field. We will finish this project this year, so 31 in December, and I will say briefly a few words about our activities. The framework is for Universities Art Academies Association. Yes, the Dresden Academy, Rome, and Riga and the Budapest Academy are part of this association, and our work package is work package 2, deal with our main focus of how can we define or redefine the notion of the artistic research. I would like a few words about what we do in our work package, very briefly and shortly, and after that we will talk about our main publication. It will be published in English in we hope end of November. But in the beginning, I will show or tell a few words about our activities. So one of main focus was the notion of the artistic research, and the other research point was it is connected with not the artistic research but the scientific research also, how the intellectual property rules goes in different countries. We try to observe the legal situation, and another main focus was establish the artistic research lab. It connected with the situation, the 4 university differences, because in Rome and Dresden does not exist doctoral school, but in Riga and Budapest we have. So beginning of the 2000 years in the Budapest Academy, it's opportunity to study the third circle or the third level, and you get not PhD in practice but called the DLA certification. So and this situation connected with the artistic research lab, because we all of the partners have to establish the lab, and this was the playground when the different universities try to show what we research in an intellectual way. We can try it in a practice. The next half year that we can do is 2 publications. One is Hungarian. It is a collection of text. It's very important for us because it is a part of the. Okay, I forgot something because no. Okay. But when I finish my speech, I will introduce my colleague directly. Okay, so this is the cover of the collection of text. So it's we find out 5 huge topics and we collect text and we translate it. I think it's very important how can we implement the research that we did in the educational field. And some pages inside the book, so you can see but it will be in Hungarian. And another book or publication, printed publication, will be the title of Approximating Borders, Artistic Research in Practice. And yes, so we are the editorial board, and I go back. So we are 4, but you cannot see. And I think it is a funny picture about us. So opposite me, Edina Nagy. She's independent curator and aesthetics. She's associate professor in Budapest. Eszter Lázár. She's also an associate professor, and she's the deputy of the work package 2, and art historian. Her background is art historian, but she's working as a freelance curator. For example, in Off Biennale Budapest, and in the same time in a Documento 15, she was part of the curatorial teams. And Dániel, Máté. He's a visual artist, designer, and junior scientist and doctoral student. So we are for the editorial board, and it's quite important because the very divergent background. So it is very important for the process of the editing. So it means we have a very different background, and I think it gives many additional values of the book. I don't know. This is the point when I give the words, Edina. Okay.
Yes, our presentation is a very dynamic one, so we will just give back and forward to microphone. But yeah, so can we switch the slide? Thank you. Okay, so here again, Dániel and Eszter. I joined the editorial team in spring 22, and since then there have been some kind of meetings and discussions related to the book in every 2 or 3 weeks, so it was a really long editorial process. There were only or mainly Zoom meeting, as you can see, so we are now aware of the benefits and difficulties of the online editing process, but we are still friends and good colleagues. We have a good relationship to each other, which is an important fact after such a long editing process. As there are 4 members of the editorial board, at least 2 of us were always present at the meetings with the authors. Some of the artists featured in the book were also consulted on several occasions. Although we selected the authors of the artist case studies, which are in the main focus of the book, Eszter will talk about the selection later, the artist always suggested the work to be discussed or described in the book, and this, of course, had to be agreed in detail. From the beginning, we thought in terms of case studies and short theoretical historical texts, so-called inserts, as a kind of a frame of the case studies. During the process, it became clear, for example, that the interview format, which we practiced through the editing process, also fitted in the concept. So that's why 3 interviews are also in the book. We had a lot of small group talks, a living dialogue, all over the whole editorial process, and in our opinion, both theoretical and practical aspects have been addressed, and the balance had been preserved in the structure of the book, which was our aim from the beginning on. Editing in this case is considered as an effective collaborative process, and the end result will soon be more than a presentation. The book will be published at the end of the year. We come back to present it. Okay.
It's my turn. I would like to reflect on the place where we are now, because it's very strange, and I'm pleased that we are not in a conference room, but in a kind of performative setting, a stage. And I think this can be said also about the artistic research and what we wanted to do with this book. We wanted to put the artistic research on stage, which means that we wanted to somehow explore it's possible visibility, it's possible process, and it's possible different kind of methods. So somehow our book and the venue where we are now really fits together. The original plan of the book was rather to do an anthology, which means a serious book with serious resources in relation to the artistic research. The term, the notion, the institutional background whatsoever, but happily we changed our directions and we have been doing something which is more about the process itself. So somehow the book hopefully reflects upon also the process of the different kind of artistic research. And we also wanted to emphasize the artist's voice. So instead of heavy theoretical approaches, we have lots of literature about that. We wanted to give the microphone to the artists and explain their way of thinking, their way of creative process. Since it's a European project funded by European Union and also an alliance, it was important for us to invite authors, contributors who are, of course, from the alliance partners, which on the one hand, it's kind of happy necessity, and on the other hand, if we are looking the map of the artistic research, maybe these countries and cities, Rome, Dresden, Riga, and Budapest, which are not really on the map of the global artistic research, if I may say that. So it's kind of good also this opportunity that we could create a map where we all together can emphasize our position also in the topic of the artistic research. So the first selection priority, so I wouldn't say criteria, the first selection priority was to have a voice of the partners. So we invited, by the suggestion of our colleagues, Elena, Costanza, Franco, and the others from Dresden and Riga as well, we wanted to invite artists, like practicing artists, who are also somehow involved in the universities or in the academies, to explain their own way of artistic practice. But we also wanted to have an emphasis on the local ecosystem, which doesn't mean that we invited 100 artists from Hungary. It rather meant that we wanted a little bit of a focus of the Central Eastern Europe. So we invited also an artist couple from Bucharest. Now they are doing their PhD research in Vienna, and also an artist from Slovakia. So if you see the map, maybe behind Elena, there's also one spot which shows Bogota. And it refers to an artistic duo, and half of the artistic duo is from Bogota. The other part of the duo is from Lithuania. So it's quite diverse, quite mixed. We also somehow wanted to emphasize that not only individual artistic research process could be explored in this book, but also the collaborative artistic research, and by them also the critical perspective of the whole institutional artistic research. So we had external partners like the alliance members, and also the focus on the local ecosystem. And if we jump, now you can see, thanks to Donny's design, you can see the structure of the book. Edina already mentioned, and I also already mentioned the artistic contributions. We had interviews. Edina will reflect on that. The inserts are also crucial in this book, but we somehow changed the balance. So this time we wanted to have a smaller part of the theoretical background, but they are important, but they are maybe in smaller pages, and maybe in terms of length, they are maybe shorter ones. Ádám will talk about the structure of the catalog, but the inserts are rather exploring institutional background of the artistic research. And Donny will explain that term later. And what is important, the editorial text or editorial contribution. Four of the editorial board, 4 members, are trying to write a common text, which is not easy. So we somehow try to play with that collaborative artistic research. We of course don't say that it is an artistic research, but is a, maybe will be full of failures. We haven't finished it yet. It's a collaborative writing process, so to say, where we reflect on our own position, the institutional position. Maybe some parts will tell something about what is missing from the book. So we will see how we can succeed this task. Yes, maybe Donny turns coming.
So thanks, Eszter. And now that we heard briefly about the concept, here are just a couple of questions and themes or topics that we suggested for the artist to explore in their contribution. So, like the difference, relationship between method and research, and challenges and during the process, and their disseminational approaches. So, and also I want to highlight a couple of the topics or themes that arose during creating the book, and that we focused on during the editorial process. And one at the top, which is was really important, is the institutionalization of artistic research. Also to reflect our own position, as the whole book became as part of this project of the EU4Art differences. So it is already part of the institution, therefore, yeah, it's deeply situated in. So that's an important position, and also the intended audience of this publication are mainly the students and colleagues and professors of the universities. So this institutional part play an important role. And also, I think there's a lot has been said about the institution during the accession of artistic research. But we wanted to highlight different positions. So, like as Eszter also said, more of the Central and Eastern European part. And that's why I will mention some name, but we will see later on the whole list of the contributors. So I will mention 2 inserts here, like without us, Michal Kevitzeus, he talked about the broader history of artistic research in the Central and Eastern European region, and also highlighted the dissemination possibilities and limitations in doctoral studies. So the other important framework was the collaboration, as we heard it before, and not just collaboration by the editorial board, but collaboration as a tool. So, yeah, where I am, sorry. Yeah, so collaboration between artists, that is a part of artistic research, as it is not an individualistic process, but most of the time it goes through some of collaboration. So I would mention here a text by the artist couple that Eszter mentioned before, Ilona Iurconita and Santiago de Reyes. And their contribution is collaborative on another level too, because they contributed it by a discussion with Manuel Macia. So that adds another layer of possibilities and of interpretation and theorization. And also collaboration is possible not just between artists, but artists and other scientific fields or institutions. So that's the third topic of the interdisciplinary that we wanted to highlight. So collaboration between different fields of science, and also between art and engineering and architecture, like in the work of Alfredo Pires that we will encounter later. So I only wanted to highlight this couple of terms of a possible interpretation of the book, and I hope that we could demonstrate the polyphony of the different voices in the publication. And this polyphony is not just present in the topics or the selection of the contributors, but also in their used methods of dissemination. And that's the part I give back.
It's a bit confusing, but yeah. So now about the difficulties of the project. The main difficulty was to ask artists to write about their work. So at the art academies, students have to learn how to speak about their own work, which is a difficulty itself, and how to write about their work. It's another question. So we ask artists to write not only about the work itself, but also about the making and the research that preceded it. And so it's not so easy as was clear. The variety of the text forms and styles present in the volume gives a good sense of the plurality of methods and artistic approaches. At the one end of the spectrum, in the artistic case studies, are artistic texts with a linear, classical textual structure. These text forms are particularly suited to research that uses the methodology and findings of the social science in its practice. To give an example, the German artist Grit Ruland's work Folgelandschaft is an ongoing research project over several years. So even she makes this research about 20 years now. The artist visits former uranium mining sites related to the nuclear industry and nuclear heritage, and partly forbidden zones, carrying out field work. She takes notes and makes photographic documentation, audio recordings. She interviews with former workers, locals living near these forbidden sites. She conducts classic sociological research, you could say. In our case, this methodology, for example, is well described through a linear narrative text. The way in which she presents the results of her research in the form of exhibitions and accompanying audio collages, and the way in which she processes the results of her research is, of course, very different from the classical research representation. You can see two interiors of an exhibition from last summer. At the other hand, yeah. So at the other hand of the spectrum is the more lyrical, less scientifically bound literary style, where artists use a more poetic, enigmatic, and obviously more subjective language to describe their methodology and approach. Texts of this type, such as those by András Cséfalvai, an artist based in Bratislava, or the artist duo Anca Brenera, Arnold Estefan, are in fact fictional journeys in which fact and fiction, past, present, and future dimensions, scientific results, or their ideas interweave. The recipient of the works, and in this case the reader of the text, although gaining important information, is distanced from the simplistic, one-viewpointed mechanism of everyday reality. So, and among, yeah, this one. Yeah. Among the artistic case studies in the volume, a third type of text, the interview, for example, with Professor Piri, Ilona Jurkonita and Santiago Reyes, is presented. In this case, an external participant, go back please, yeah, Veronica, guided the conversation and places the emphasis, and in the second case, it was Manuel Macia, our colleague. It's interesting to observe that these texts are more distant in the interviews, more objective than if the artists were removed from the artwork and, so to say, from the creative process itself by the text. But we can ask Professor Piri if it's so or not. Okay. So, the structure of the book, you can see here the whole table of content. The black ones are the artistic case studies, and the gray lines, the inserts. With the structure of the book, we didn't want to categorize or group together, but we still needed an order that is not alphabetic. In our reading, therefore, the texts are arranged along the following keywords. We begin with inserts about the relations of science, art, and academia. Benedek Burkharthofer, András Cséfalvai, and Varga Tünde, our colleague at Budapest Academy. And we continue with texts focused on modern technologies and questions of technique, material, and manuality. Like Elena's text, the interview with Carsten Nicolai, Professor Barbieri's text, and Professor Piri's interview. Many of the case studies focus on the processing of the past and burdened legacies, which form the next block of text. Grit Ruland's and Manuel's interview and Bence Pálinkás performative piece. Finally, we come to and return to the problem of the encompassing institution, thus providing a framework structure for the book. But once again, we would like to underline that this is one possible reading among many. We, the editors, have discussed several versions. In the end, everyone can read the book as they want. Obviously, the fewest will be the ones who will pick it up as a novel and read from the beginning to the end, while obviously it's extremely exciting.
Okay, thank you. So I will talk about a bit why book. So I think it's if you are working in a higher education system or an academic field, it's a book in evident decision. So we are all committed to books, but the big challenge is how can we fill it up with the knowledge that we collect in this project, or how can we make a three-dimensional things that connected with the inside, with the content of the book. So we worked together with the graphic designer. His name is Réka Imre. She's a very talented and good contributor. It is hard to speak about the physically existing things. Now it is not published, so it's exists only in the computer. But we try to connect the different structure of the book and how can we connect it with the physically exist things. So, for example, the paper size of the paper, the special binding system, the color of the pages. So it is a big challenge. And another thing why the book is. For us, it was a question: how can we roll back the result of the research that we do the last 2.5 years? And I think it is not administrative, but very important part of the project. How can we implement this kind of knowledge or knowledge production system? And it was a very evident decision we made. This book and another is a collection of text. How can we disseminate our knowledge that we collect with the partners and the work when we work together? And yeah, I think it's if you made a book, it is a good solution. Yeah,
I think. No, you want.
Maybe reflect on the title. So, Approximating Borders, Artistic Research in Practice, that's the title of the book. And by that, we wanted to somehow relate to this approaching situation what the artistic research has. We don't want to say a definition of that. We don't want to say that it's equal than the scientific research, but we are trying to emphasize this experiment in approaching, how you can reach that. You never really reach that. So that just approaching. The just is a positive thing, I think. Borders in terms of scientific research and artistic research, borders in terms of different kind of genres. It could be performative, could be painting, installation, sculpture, whatever it is. It can be related to the artistic research. And we also want to send this message to the students, as it was mentioned, the target audience is the student community, and we wanted to help, maybe it's not the best term, work with them or offering them this term to use freely, whatever they are doing. So the use of the word research, it doesn't really mean that it should be linked to the scientific paradigm. It could be a flexible term, or at least we think that.
Last slide, in the performance. Yeah. So. Okay. Finally, we would like to show you a short excerpt from the chamber choir work Singing Youth, which is a collaborative work, and everybody will wake up. A collaborative work, a theater piece produced by the visual artist Pálinkás Bence, the composer Szigeti Máté, and the researcher Barbieri. It's a critical work that reflects strongly on the political and social conditions in Hungary today, and which draws parallels between the Hungarian dictatorships of the 20th century and today. The focus is on sport and its fanatization, which is not far from the ideas of our Prime Minister and our government, so please enjoy.
Thank you so much. I think it was really significant also how you presented the publication, and you unveiled like a central aspect of this whole project, which is the differences and collaboration towards that appeared many times. But then also the way you presented the book, it was also this configuration of geographies and of connecting people, which goes much beyond the contents also. Is really innovative structures, and you really underline that. And I think this is really nice, and this is what you conceived from inside your project, like connecting us and other people, adding other people, and this is what we try to do, like from the outside of the project. So I think this was really, really very interesting. Thank you so much. I don't know if there are other observations. Thank you so much.